The US is a very highway-focused country, being widely developed after the introduction of the automobile, and likely being modeled with these vehicles in mind, more than almost any other nation in the world. America has the largest freeway system in the world, with the interstate system, and has some form of freeway in every major metropolitan area in the country. But that brings up an interesting question getting into some of the less major metropolitan areas. What's the largest city with no freeways? This is an interesting question, because when you actually look at it, they're very hard to find. The US is well connected, whether it be an interstate that just passes by the metro, or a small portion of freeway that was built within the city. Most areas are going to have it in some form. So today I thought it would be interesting to check out the biggest cities that make this list, going from 7th down to 1st, and talking a little bit about where they are and why this is the case. Before that though, please consider subscribing to the channel. We make geography content like this every week, so if you enjoy that type of content, I suggest you subscribe because it helps me out a ton and you won't miss any future uploads. Thank you. So finding a city without a single freeway ends up requiring some loose rules. First off, you need to define where a metro ends, because there are some included here that seem to be fully disconnected from a freeway, with it passing like 15 miles away, for example. As well as that, you need to define what a freeway is. Now, I would define it as a section of limited access highway with no intersections, but getting into more detail, it really just has to take the form of a typical American freeway. This means something like a parkway won't count, even if it has interchanges for a short portion. I've simplified the research process by just using the Federal Highway Administration's Highway Statistics Table from 2019, so if I make any mistakes, you can take it up with the government. But anyways, without further ado, let's get right into it, with our 7th place example being Florence, Alabama. So Florence Muscle Shoals is a metropolitan area located in the northwest corner of Alabama. And honestly, it's interesting on its own, just by how big it is, at a population of 147,000. I'm sure if you ask people that aren't from the area, you'd have trouble even finding people who know it exists. But yeah, it has 0 miles of freeway. It's located around 40 miles off of I-65, and with a spur route connecting to the other northern Alabama city of Huntsville, it didn't extend over to Florence. It does have Hilton Drive on State Route 157, which is divided in freeway form as it crosses the Tennessee River, but it has an intersection on either side of the river and has just one real interchange, being with US 72. US 72 is a divided Strode type thing going westward from here, but it also can't be considered a freeway, so Florence ends up actually having 0 miles of freeway. An interesting feat for a large southern city. Moving to 6th place, we have Logan, Utah. This is a city that I think some people don't really see being as disconnected as it is. I-15 passes near the area, but it's 17 miles west of the city, and it's disconnected by a whole line of mountains. See, Logan is actually in the Cache Valley, while the rest of the large northern Utah cities are in more of the Wasatch Front or the Salt Lake Valley. Anyway, what this means is that Logan instead just has one state highway and 2 US highways for a metropolitan area of 148,000. In fact, it really doesn't have anything close to a freeway, with a couple roads being 4 lanes and nothing other than that. Despite this, the city has a pretty decent traffic volume for a city of its size, having significantly better traffic than cities like Vineland, New Jersey, or Albany, Georgia. Moving to 5th place, we have Panama City, Florida. A city that is well off of any freeway and has a significant population at 202,000 in the metro area. So Panama City has a main benefit in that it's on the Gulf Coast, while I-10 travels past well to the north as it avoids the swampy coastline. There are 3 partially divided highways that connect the interstate to the metro, but all 3 of these are not limited access. Panama City is definitely very suburban, but there's no shortage of these wide avenues. In fact, US 98 is almost a freeway on the Hathaway Bridge over the St. Andrew Bay. But again, there's intersections on either side of it, so it can't really be considered that way. The city has a much higher traffic volume than Logan, and it's a very car-centric metro area. So honestly, I'm surprised there isn't a freeway, maybe down the coast, or a spur route connecting to I-40. But you can't complain. Moving to 4th place, we have Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. This is a very interesting metropolitan area, and it would definitely go on a list of areas you didn't know had so many people. The metro area has a population of 230,000 between all of these coastal communities near the Georgian border. The whole Hilton Head Island is basically centered around golf, with 42 different courses within 20 miles of the actual island. And honestly, I really don't know what to think of it. At least they have something interesting about them. Going to their highways, though, they do in fact have no freeway miles, instead having plenty of parkways, including their main one, US 278, a divided highway that goes to the island before making a loop around it. It's divided the entire way, but there are surface intersections the whole time as well. This means that despite being another very car-centric area, Hilton Head Island has nothing for freeways. Moving to third place, we have Tyler, Texas. Now, I think I can speak for most people here when I say I did not expect a large Texan city to be on this list. Texas is obviously known for how many freeways they have within their large cities, so it absolutely surprised me to find that Tyler, a metro area of 242,000, has zero freeway mileage. As with basically every other southern city, there are plenty of divided stroads and avenues. There's a loop road around the city that I guess you could say is the closest thing to a freeway, but it's really just a boulevard with zero real interchanges. Same goes for any large road within the city. I-20 is located 7 miles to the north of the downtown, and I would say it serves as a perfectly fine connection to the city, but the Federal Highway Administration doesn't count it as within the metro, so I'm not counting it either. Moving to our final two, we have Bend, Oregon. This is a city of 260,000 that's known on this channel for having no freeways or interstates. It's fairly large, and with a lot of the growth being quite recent, there just hasn't been a major route connecting to the city or within the city. It would be hard to get a new freeway route passed in the mountainous area in a state like Oregon. Now, this is probably the most controversial one on the list, since US 97 seems to take the form of a freeway within the city. Now, it's called the Bend Parkway, but there are around 3 miles that could very easily be considered a freeway, with it being fully limited access and having multiple real interchanges. The way I justify it not being considered it is it's called a parkway, and the median is very small and insignificant. It's not something you'd see on any interstate in the country, so I won't argue with the FWHA, and I'll include it. Other than that, Bend has nothing. US 20 passes through the city, but it's not a freeway at all, and there aren't any state highways, so they're out of luck for now. Finally, moving to our first place spot, we have Destin, Fort Walton Beach, Florida. This is a very similar example to Panama City, being only around 40 miles to the west from that metro, but it simply has a higher population, at 287,000. It's very close to Pensacola, where I-10 does go through, but before it gets to the Destin area, it turns northeast and moves around 12 miles away from the coastal metro. Just like every other city on this list, there are a few 4-lane large roads, with US 98 being the most major one, but this is never going to be a freeway. Now in the north, there are a couple highways that could be counted as freeways, including State Route 85 and 293, but one of them is considered a parkway and the other isn't included in the metropolitan area. And either way, the Federal Highway Administration doesn't include them or any of the other large roads within the airport or Air Force area. So I'm not here to argue, and it comes in at number 1 on our list. That's it for today though. Almost all of these are growing mid-sized cities, and especially something like Destin or even Bend could see something be considered as a freeway at some point soon. But for now, these cities are put in a place where they have no major freeway travel, and have to find other ways to efficiently navigate the area. Thanks for watching. Thank you to the members this week: Alex William, Makita Martinoff, Kurt Ainsley, Jerome McCall, Haystack, KMS162, JL, Sir JC17, Bryson, Dominic Psyche, Rosebud 4, Jeremy Jarvis, Christopher DeAngelis, Darkbird, Big Pasty, Jeremy Crone, Wolfling73, Snyder Swine, Florida Jake, Benjamin Whitings, Ryan Devins, and Hazev the Wolf. I appreciate you guys so much. You do so much for the channel. If you want to become a member, the link is down in the description below. I start college in under a month here, so if you want to help me out financially and give me some extra support and you appreciate the content, this is the best way to do it. It's not required, it's just an extra thing. Thank you so much.